My wife cheated on me for 4 months with her coworker. When I came home early from my trip, I followed her to his apartment. I packed my bags that same night, and now she's begging for a second chance she'll never get. I'm 34 years old. I work in logistics for a distribution company, and what happened a few months ago still has me processing everything. To be honest, I was married to Sarah for almost 10 years, and I thought we had a good marriage, you know? One of those where not everything is perfect, but you're committed and you work on it. I guess I should start at the beginning, or at least at the moment when everything started falling apart, because looking back, I can see all the signs I ignored. But in the moment, I had no idea what was going on. I met Sarah when we were like 23 years old, something like that, at a mutual friend's party. She was a nurse, worked crazy shifts at the hospital, and I had just gotten my first decent job after college. We fell in love fast, like one of those romances where everything seems to fit perfectly, and we got married 3 years later. The first years were good. I'm not gonna lie about that. We had our problems like any couple, arguments about money or about who was in charge of what in the house, but nothing that felt like it was a real problem. We bought a house in a quiet suburb. She got a better job at a private clinic with more normal hours, and I was climbing up in my company. Life was, I don't know, stable, I guess. Comfortable. What I didn't know is that stability was basically an illusion, and that Sarah had been building an entire parallel life that I had no idea existed. But I found that out later. Obviously. In the moment, I just thought we were fine, that we were one of those marriages that were gonna last. My parents have been married for like 40 years, hers too, so in my mind that was normal. What was expected? You get married, build a life together, endure the tough moments, and that's it. Basically, that's what I thought we were doing. The day everything changed was a Tuesday. I remember perfectly because I was supposed to be away until Thursday. I had a work trip to a city like 4 hours away. One of those things where you go review some warehouses and have boring meetings with clients. But turns out the meetings got canceled on the second day because the main client had a family emergency, so my boss said we could go back early if we wanted. Obviously, I said yes, because who doesn't want to get home earlier than planned, right? I thought I was going to surprise Sarah. Maybe I'd arrive and we could have dinner together or watch a movie or something. How naive I was, seriously. I left around 2 in the afternoon and drove back, got to our town around 6:30. I stopped at a gas station to fill up the tank before going home, and that's when I saw her car. It was a blue 2018 Honda Civic. Not that it's super unique, but it had a specific sticker from a marathon she had participated in the year before, so it was definitely her car. It was parked in the small shopping center next to the gas station, in front of an Italian restaurant that wasn't our usual place or anything. I thought it was weird because she was supposed to be working until 7. That's what she had told me that morning when we talked on the phone. I don't know why, but something in my stomach felt weird. Like that feeling that something doesn't add up but you can't explain exactly what. I finished filling up the tank and decided to call her, just to see what she'd say. The phone rang like 4 times before she answered, and when she did, she sounded breathless, like agitated. I told her, "Hey honey, I got out of the trip early and I'm already back in town." And she made a weird pause before saying, "Oh, that's good. I'm still at work, but I should be out in like half an hour." I asked her if she wanted me to pick her up or something, and she said, No, I have to stop by the grocery store on the way home anyway, so I'll see you there." We hung up and I sat there in my car thinking, what the hell? Her car is literally 50 meters from me. She's not at work. Why would she lie about something like that? My first thought was that maybe she was planning some surprise for me or something. I don't know. Buying a gift or preparing something special. But that didn't make sense because I hadn't told her I was coming back early. She had no way of knowing. So my brain started going to darker places, thinking about all the reasons why your wife would lie to you about where she is. I stayed at the gas station for like 20 more minutes, feeling like an idiot but unable to just leave. And then I saw her car leave the parking lot, Sarah driving alone, and I saw her speed toward the grocery store. That's like 10 minutes away. I decided to follow her, which made me feel like a stalker, but I was already too deep into this. She got to the grocery store, ran inside, literally ran, like in a hurry, and came out like 10 minutes later with 2 small bags. Then she drove home. I waited another 10 minutes before arriving, to make the travel time seem natural from where I was supposedly coming from. When I got home, she was there, putting away the groceries, acting completely normal. She gave me a kiss, asked me how the trip was, all very casual. I also acted normal, but inside I was like, what the hell just happened? I didn't say anything that night because honestly I didn't know what to say. Do I accuse her of lying when I have no idea why she lied? Do I tell her I was following her like a psycho? I decided to wait, observe, see if anything else weird happened, and boy did more weird things happen. During the following weeks, I started noticing patterns I had overlooked before. Sarah was on her phone constantly, like obsessively. She always had it face down, always took it to the bathroom, always put it on silent. When I'd ask her something while she was on her phone, it would take like 5 seconds for her to process what I had said, like clearly distracted. And she started working late more often, or at least that's what she said. She'd get home around 9, 10 at night, saying she had been busy at the clinic or that she had gone to dinner with coworkers. One night we were watching TV and her phone rang. She grabbed it super fast, looked at it, and her face made this weird expression before silencing it. I asked her who it was and she said, "Oh, nobody. Just spam." But I saw her later go to the bathroom with her phone and stay there for like 15 minutes. That was like the 5th or 6th red flag that my brain didn't want to process. Because processing those flags meant admitting what was probably happening, and I still wasn't ready for that. About a month passed since the gas station incident. One Friday, Sarah told me she was going to work late again, that she'd probably get home around 11 because they had inventory or something. Honestly, I don't even remember what specific excuse she used, because by that point, they all sounded the same. I told her, "Okay, be careful." And she left for work in the morning. I had a normal day at the office, left around 5:30, and, instead of going straight home, I decided to do something that had been spinning in my head for weeks. I drove to the clinic where Sarah supposedly worked. It's a small building in a commercial area, easy to see the whole parking lot from the street. Her car wasn't there. It was like 6:30. She was supposed to be working until 11, but her car wasn't there. I felt like I'd been kicked in the stomach. I drove around the building twice just to be sure, thinking maybe she had parked it somewhere weird, but nothing. It wasn't there. I sat in my car in a parking lot across the street and thought, what do I do now? I could call her and confront her, but what if she had some logical explanation? What if she was at some work event somewhere else or something? Though deep down I knew that was a lie I was telling myself. I decided to drive around a bit. No specific destination, just thinking. And then I remembered something I had heard Sarah mention like 2 months ago. She had casually mentioned a coworker named Ryan, said something about how he was new and was cool. At the time, I didn't pay attention, but now, in retrospect, I remembered his name had come up like 3 or 4 times in casual conversations after that. I don't know what made me do it, but I searched for Ryan on Facebook, found the profile of a guy who seemed to be the right age and whose info said he worked at the same clinic. His profile wasn't very private, thank God, and I could see his city and even recognize some places in his photos that were definitely from our town, but I didn't have his address, obviously. I felt like a stalker detective, but I kept searching. Checked online white pages, found like 3 Ryans who could be him based on age, and decided that, the next day, I was going to drive to those addresses to see if I saw anything. Saturday morning, Sarah left early, said she was going to the gym, and then having lunch with her sister Lisa. I told her I was going to spend the day running, boring errands. As soon as she left, I waited like half an hour, and then started my amateur detective mission. The first Ryan address was nothing. It was an older person's house. Definitely not him. The second was an apartment, but I didn't see his car or Sarah's anywhere. But the third address, a small house in a neighborhood like 20 minutes from ours, there it was. Sarah's blue Honda Civic, parked in the driveway like nothing. I parked like half a block away, my heart beating so loud I could hear it in my ears. I sat there for, I don't know, 10 minutes? 15? Feeling sick, confused, angry, all at the same time. I took pictures with my phone, of the car, of the house, of the license plate to be sure, and then I saw them. Sarah came out of the house with a guy, Ryan, I guess. both laughing about something. He hugged her. It wasn't a friend's hug. It was a hug like, I'm gonna kiss you in a second. She got in her car and left. He stayed in the driveway watching her leave with a stupid smile on his face. I took pictures of everything. I didn't know what I was gonna do with them, but I knew I needed them. When Sarah got home that afternoon, acting like nothing, saying she'd had a good lunch with Lisa and the gym had been packed, I just nodded and smiled. Inside, I was destroyed, but I didn't say anything yet. I needed to be sure. I needed more evidence. I needed to know exactly what was going on before making any move. For the next 3 days, I did the same thing. I tracked her movements when she said she was working late or had plans. 3 of those 4 times, she ended up at Ryan's house. The 4th time I saw her with him at a restaurant like 30 minutes away, clearly thinking nobody would see them there. I took pictures of everything. It was like self-imposed torture, but I needed the full truth. I needed to be able to look her in the eye and know exactly what she had been doing. Wednesday of that week, after almost 4 days of amateur surveillance, I decided it was time to confront her. Sarah got home after her real work, or so, I think, around 7. I was sitting in the living room with my laptop open showing all the pictures I had taken. When she came in and saw me there, I think something in my expression alerted her immediately because she froze in the doorway. I told her, "We need to talk," and she made that "oh no, what's wrong" face, all innocent and worried. I turned the laptop around so she could see the pictures. There were like 20, all with date and time stamps, showing her car at Ryan's house, showing her with him, everything. Her face went through like 5 different emotions in 10 seconds. Confusion, shock, panic, and then something like resignation. I told her, "So, you want to explain to me what the hell this is? Or do we keep going with the lies?" Sarah broke down. She started crying immediately, saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," like a broken record. She sat on the couch opposite me and between sobs started explaining that Ryan had started working at the clinic like 6 months ago, that at first they were just friends, that things had gotten emotional between them and she didn't know how to stop it, that she felt confused about her feelings, that she never wanted to hurt me. All the classic excuses you've probably heard in a million movies and TV shows, but when they're said to you in person, they feel surreal and horrible. I asked her how long it had been going on. She said like 4 months. 4 months. Almost half a year of my life living a lie while she built a complete relationship with another guy. I asked her if she loved him. She didn't know what to say, just kept crying and repeating that she was confused, that she didn't know what she felt, that I was her husband and that meant something. I just sat there feeling completely empty. I wasn't even angry at that moment. I was just like emotionally numb. She tried to come closer to me, saying we could go to couples therapy, that we could fix this, that it was a horrible mistake, but she really loved me and wanted our marriage to work, that she'd end everything with Ryan immediately, that she'd block his number, that she'd do whatever was necessary. She looked at me with those teary eyes, hoping I'd say yes, that we could try it, that I'd forgive all this. And honestly, part of me considered saying yes, because we had built a life together, we had history, and throwing all that in the trash because of this was scary. But then I thought about the last few weeks, about all the lies, about how she had looked me in the eye and lied over and over and over again, about how she had been actively planning her meetings with this guy while I completely trusted her, about how they had probably laughed together about how easy it was to fool me. And I realized I couldn't. I just couldn't stay with someone who had done that. It didn't matter how many years we'd been together or how many memories we had. She had made an active decision, not once but hundreds of times over 4 months, to betray me. I told her, "I'm done. I'm finished with this." She started literally begging, telling me, "Please don't do this. We can fix it. It was a mistake. I love you." But I just kept saying, "No, it's over. I can't do this." I got up, went to our room, grabbed a backpack, and started putting in clothes. She followed me, still crying, still begging. I put in enough clothes for a week or so, grabbed my toiletries, my laptop, and some other basic things. The whole time she was there telling me to wait, to think about it, not to leave like this. But I had already made my decision. I called my friend Marcus, explained super briefly what had happened, and asked him if I could stay at his place for a few days. He said, "Of course. Come whenever I wanted." I told Sarah I was going to stay with Marcus while we figured out what to do with the house and the divorce. And the word divorce made her start crying even harder. But I was already, emotionally disconnected from the situation. I loaded my things in the car and left. She came out to the driveway yelling my name, but I just started the car and drove away. The next few days were weird. Marcus was amazing. Let me use his guest room, didn't ask too many questions, just was there. I spent most of the time processing everything. Sometimes angry, sometimes sad, sometimes just confused about how I'd gotten to this point. I went back to the house when I knew Sarah was at work and packed more of my stuff. We mentally divided our belongings as I packed. Like, this is mine, this is hers. We bought this together, but she can keep it. It was depressing seeing 9 years of marriage reduced to boxes in the back of my car. I blocked Sarah on everything. Phone, messages, social media, email, everything. I didn't want to hear more apologies or pleas. She tried to contact me through mutual friends and her sister Lisa. Lisa called me like a week after all this, saying Sarah was devastated and asking if we could at least talk. I told Lisa I appreciated her concern, but my decision was made, and Sarah was going to have to accept it. Lisa tried the everyone deserves a second chance speech, but I told her some betrayals are too big and hung up. I hired a lawyer 2 weeks later. Found one who specialized in divorces, showed him all the evidence I had, the pictures, the records of her lies, everything, and he said this was going to be a pretty straightforward case. We didn't have kids, thank God. That would have made everything 1,000 times more complicated. We just had the house and some joint accounts to divide. The lawyer started the official divorce proceedings, and Sarah received the papers a month after I left the house. She tried to contact me again after receiving the papers. She got unknown phone numbers from my friends asking them to call me, clearly desperate, but I didn't give in. I didn't answer any calls, didn't respond to any messages. My lawyer handled all communication with her lawyer. It was easier that way. Honestly, seeing her or talking to her would have just made everything more painful. During this whole process, I focused on rebuilding my life. I went back to doing things I had stopped doing during the marriage, like going to the gym regularly, playing video games with friends, reading books. I concentrated on my work, even got a small promotion 2 months after separating because I was putting all my energy there. It was like therapy, staying busy to not think too much about everything I had lost. Last week, Sarah called me from an unknown number I hadn't blocked yet. I answered without thinking, and it was her. Her voice sounded tired, resigned. She told me we needed to talk about selling the house, that she couldn't afford the mortgage by herself and knew I wasn't going to want to keep paying for a house I wasn't living in. She was right about that. I told her my lawyer would communicate with hers to coordinate everything about selling the house, that we'd handle everything through them. She tried to say something else, something about how sorry she was and hoping someday we could at least be friends or something. But I interrupted her and told her that wasn't going to happen. That when the divorce was finalized, I didn't want to have contact with her again. I hung up before she could respond. The divorce should be finalized in 2 more months, according to my lawyer. We've been negotiating the division of assets, and so far everything has been relatively civilized through the lawyers. I'm keeping my car and some investments, she's keeping her car and other things, and we're going to split the money from the house sale 50-50. It's the fairest thing considering we both contributed equally during the years we were together. Now, I'm living in a small apartment I rented a month ago. It's like a studio, nothing fancy, but it's mine and doesn't have memories of Sarah in every corner. I'm okay, I guess. Some days are better than others. Sometimes I still get hit by this wave of sadness when I see happy couples or when I pass by places where Sarah and I used to go. But overall, I feel like I made the right decision. I couldn't stay with someone who betrayed me like that, no matter how long we'd been together or how much she said she was sorry. My friends have been supporting me a lot. Marcus is still amazing, always available when I need to talk or just get distracted. I've gone out with some of them to bars and stuff. Nothing crazy, just having a good time. I'm still not ready to think about dating someone new. That's going to take time. But at least now I can imagine a future where I'm okay alone, where I don't need Sarah to be happy. And that's enough for now, honestly.